Hello class, today we're going to talk about solving multi-step equations. Now what we've been working on are two-step equations. Equations that look something like 2x plus 5 equals 7. Where our goal was to get the letter by itself. So what we had to do was we had to take the 5 and move it over to be with the 7. And the way we did that was we added its opposite. So we would write 2x plus 5 plus negative 5, so here's our opposite, and if I add something to one side, I must add that same exact thing to the other side, okay, to maintain balance. So now when we do this, we now simplify this line. Our 5's will turn into a 0, and we're left with just 2x is equal to, and then we do the math on the right-hand side. 7 plus negative 5 gives us 2. Now, I don't want to know about 2x's, I only want to know about 1x. So to turn a multiply by 2 into a 1, I have to divide by 2. So, and if I do that to one side, I must do it to the other, and we end up with x equaling 1. Okay, so we had two basic steps. Okay, one, get the numbers together on one side, okay, or on the opposite side of where we have. So we got to get rid of that 5. Okay, so then once we do that, we then have to do the opposite of whatever we have, because here I have a multiply, so we have to do a divide. Well, with multi-step equations, we're going to add a step. Okay, so here are the steps that we would go through to solve multi-step equations. Okay, step number 1, get all the letters together on one side. This is our new step. Okay, get all the letters on one side. Because when you looked at our previous problem, our letters were already together on one side. They were on the left-hand side of the equal sign. So we moved our numbers to the right-hand side. Okay, so our new step that we're looking at is we must gather together our letters on one side of the equal sign. And whatever side we put our letters on, we have to put our numbers on the other side. And then once we've done that, we're ready to solve. So let's see if we can work a couple of equations or a couple of problems, and then we'll work on the assignment. Okay, so here's our first one. And you'll notice it does look a little different than just the two-step equation where we had one letter and a number equals another number. Now we end up with letters on both sides. So our goal is still to get the letter by itself. So step number 1, get our letters together on one side. How do I do that? I add the opposite. Now most of the time we like our letters to be on the left-hand side. So I'm going to take this 2x and move it over to be with the 4x. So I'm going to start at the equal sign. If I'm going to work on the right-hand side to move this 2x that's on the right, I'm going to start on the right-hand side. So I'm going to write down what I have, 2x plus 20, and then I'm going to add what I need in order to move that 2x. So I'm going to add its opposite. So this is my new thing that I'm adding, the negative 2x. So if I add it to this side, to the right-hand side, I must add it to the left-hand side also. So now I take my 4x plus 8, and I add to that the negative 2x that I added on the right-hand side. Now I simplify the line. So here I have a 4x and a 2x, a negative 2x, that could go together because they both have x's. So 4x and negative 2x will give us 2x, and then I write my leftovers down, plus 8, because I haven't dealt with my numbers yet. I'm still working on just the letters. Now if I go to the right-hand side, my 2x and my negative 2x will cancel each other out, and I'm left with just a 20. Now if you pay close attention to what you see there, that equation looks just like the equation that we solved earlier. We have a letter and a number equals a number. Well, that's what we have here. A letter and a number equals a number. So now, step number 1 is complete. We got our letters on one side. So now we need to do step number 2, get our numbers on the other side. So I'm going to move this 8 over to be with the 20. And again, how do I do that? I add its opposite. So I'm going to write 2x plus 8 plus negative 8 equals 20 plus, and the new thing I added on the left was the negative 8, so I have to add the negative 8 to the right as well. So we end up with 2x equals, and now 20 plus negative 8 gives us 12. So that's our step number 2, right, is to get the numbers on the other side. So our letters are on the left, our numbers are on the right. Now we're ready for step number 3, which is solve. Okay, how do I get rid of a multiply by 2? We do a divide by 2. And if you do that to one side, you have to do it to the other, and I end up with x is equal to 6. Now, each of these equations, just like with two-step equations, have a built-in check. Okay, so I can take this 6 and I can plug it back into my original equation to see if it equals the other side. So let's see if we can do that. We'll take the 4 times whatever x is. In this case, it's 6. So we'll do 4 times 6 plus 8. Well, 4 times 6 is 24, plus 8 equals 32. So what we're trying to figure out is the other side equal to the same thing? So I take this 6, I plug it in, so it's going to be 2 times 6 plus 20, and you find out that it is also equal to 32, so that means this answer is correct. Okay, so let's work one more, and then we'll be ready for our assignment. Okay, negative 15m minus 18 equals 5m plus 52. Now the first thing I see in this particular problem is I see a minus. And I know I like to change subtraction to addition, next number to its opposite, to prevent making careless mistakes. And that's the only reason why I do that. Okay, so again, I like my letters on the left, so I'm going to move this 5m over to be with that negative 15m. So I start at the equal sign and I start working on the right-hand side. So I write 5m plus 52 plus, now what do I need in order to get rid of the 5m? Negative 5m. So then I come over to the other side, negative 15m plus negative 18 plus, now what did I add to the other side? A negative 5m. Now I simplify the line. So on the left-hand side, I've got a negative 15m and a negative 5m that can go together to make negative 20m plus my leftovers, negative 18, equals. Now on the right-hand side, my 5m's zero out, and I'm left with just 52. Okay, so step number 1 taken care of. I've moved my letters on one side. Now step number 2 is move my numbers to the other side. So negative 20m plus negative 18 plus, now what do I need in order to move the negative 18? A positive 18. And if I add it to one side, I have to add it to the other. Okay, so on the left-hand side, my 18s will zero out, and I'm left with negative 20m equals, and then here I've got 52 and 18, which make 70. Okay, so step number 2 accomplished. My numbers are now together on one side. So now I'm ready to solve. So I have a multiply by negative 20, so I'm going to do a divide by negative 20, and you end up with m is equal to negative 3.5 for your answer. And you can plug the numbers in with your calculator to see if it works, and you find out that yes, it does. And that's all there is to solving multi-step equations. There are 3 basic steps that we go through. Get your letters on one side of the equal sign. How? We add the opposite. Step number 2, get the numbers on the other side of the equal sign. And then how do we do that? Add the opposite. And then once the numbers are together on one side and the letters are together on the other side, we can then solve for our variable by doing the opposite. And that's all there is. So what I'd like for you to do is I've got 6 questions that I'd like for you to work. So just copy them on your notebook paper if you didn't get the worksheet in class, and solve each one for the unknown. Until next time.